Hello, my name is Robert Dean Steele, and this is the Promises of the Bible. Now, listen to what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 7:15. He says, if an unbeliever believes, let it be so. A brother or sister is not bound in such circumstances. God has called us to live in peace. Now, I'm going to talk about a bit of a controversial subject just for a moment. It's called the subject of divorce. And you say, well, Robert Dean Steele, do you really know all about divorce? I certainly do. I myself grew up in a family where my mom was divorced, and she's been divorced 4 times. And I grew up in kind of a blended family situation where my dad came into my life later on. So I know what can happen when it comes to divorce. So when I got married, I determined that I was going to, number 1, marry a believer, and number 2, make a commitment to stay true to that woman for the rest of my life. You see, it isn't always easy to stay in a marriage. It's not always easy to stay to one's vow. And how many Christians today have said, I just don't love him anymore. Let me tell you something. There was a study that was done not that long ago, and it was discovered that anyone who had been married for more than about 40 years, there were times in that particular marriage where they didn't really feel that they loved their spouse. They didn't even like them sometimes, but there was one thing that kept them going, and that was their commitment to their vows. You see, we're to love, honor, and cherish, and be with that person in sickness and health until death do us part. When we stand before a clergyman such as myself, I trust that we really desire to fulfill those vows. But we're not alone on this thing. Come on now. What you can do is invite God into your situation. I love it. The Lord allows us, the two, to become one. Literally, the two become one. That's God's math. And then He Himself becomes another individual in that marriage. The two people work together with the Lord, and they're a perfect triangle. The Lord is in the midst of that marriage, and He is able to help us when those times come where it's not so easy to be married. There are times where we don't feel that we're in love with our spouse. But it's our commitment to the Lord, the commitment to His Word, and commitment to each other that gets us through. Remember, it's not how you begin that makes the difference, how you even are in the middle. It's how you end. Sometimes it takes real endurance, and as well, also, it gives us an opportunity. Now, I really believe that we can work through anything. But let me just give you 2 causes for divorce within the Christian circle. Number 1, adultery. And number 2, Paul says that if an unbeliever leaves, let it be so. He says, because God has called us into peace. But you never know. If you have an unbelieving spouse and you find yourself in that situation, don't let them go. Stay with them. Because you know what? God may have a tremendous plan. So I'm telling you today, there's victory even in divorce. And if you have remarried, then you know what? God can help you as well. I want to give you some other scriptures. Matthew 10:37-38. Mark 10:11 and 12, and 2 Corinthians 5:17. Great scriptures to think about, ponder about, pray about today. My name is Robert Dean Steele, and this is the Promises of the Bible. You have yourself a great and godly day.